ride from Middletown to Indian Echo Caverns in South Hummelstown. The Middletown and Hummelstown Railroad was constructed in 1889 and was completed on August 1st, 1890. It existed as a separate company until 1924, when it became part of the Reading Railroad. In the 1890s, 6 daily passenger trains ran from Middletown to Hummelstown. Later, in the early 1900s, the number of daily passenger trains was reduced to 2 each way. During the Depression, a passenger car was added to the end of the freight trains. Finally, in 1939, passenger service was discontinued. The railroad hauled limestone from the quarries along its line and cocoa beans, which the Hershey Company stored in its warehouses beside the tracks. In 1976, just before the acquisition of the railroad by Conrail, the present owner, Wendell Billinger, purchased the Middletown and Hummelstown Railroad from the bankrupt Reading Railroad. The line operates freight daily, but no more limestone or cocoa beans. Today's freight consists of electrical transformers, ice melt, and a variety of chemical products. The Middletown and Hummelstown Railroad was nicknamed Milk and Honey Line by local residents, even though the railroad did haul some milk from the area farms to the Hershey Chocolate Factory. The nickname is attributed to the line's initials, M&H, rather than the commodities it hauled. Our ride takes us past Hoffer Park. The community park is used by the residents of Middletown for family picnics and reunions. The industrial complex known as Middletown East End Warehouse houses several industrial concerns, including our railroad's freight customers. At one time, part of the Middletown Car Company was located here. The other part of the company was located at the west end of town. This company manufactured and repaired all types of freight cars and shipped them all over the world. The company went out of business during the stock market crash of 1929. Crossing Route 230, also known as Main Street in Middletown. During the colonial years, the pioneers used this road as their main route from Philadelphia to the west. Middletown was established in 1755 and is the oldest town in Dauphin County. It was named Middletown because it was located halfway between Lancaster and Carlisle. During the 1800s, Route 230 became a turnpike and tolls were collected until about 1920. One of the road's toll houses, a log cabin, still stands about a mile east of Middletown. It is now a private residence. A passenger stop was once located here. In 1793, the canal company ran out of money and construction came to a halt. In 1811, the Union Canal Company was formed and raised money to fund the canal by holding lotteries. In 1827, the canal was completed, but failed to attract business because it could not accommodate larger boats. The canal company realized their mistake and began to widen the canal in 1851. It was too late, however, because the Philadelphia and Reading Railroad completed their line between the two towns and took most of the canal's business. In 1884, all operations ceased on the canal, and in 1886, it was sold to the Philadelphia and Reading Railroad. Canals used a system of water locks to control the flow of water, which handled a fall of 192 feet from the summit near Lebanon to the end of the canal in Middletown. North of Middletown was at Fry's Grove. Here a small building replaces the lockkeeper's house. The original house was destroyed during Prohibition when it was found out that its owner was using it to make moonshine. The life of a lockkeeper was not very demanding. The keeper had to stay within the sound of the boatman's horn, so in addition to tending the locks, many keepers passed the time by being gardeners, shoemakers, bakers, and brewers. They would sell their products to the passengers on the passing boats. The canal fare from Reading to Middletown was 44 cents per person. Come nighttime, most boats had to stop because of inadequate lighting. It became necessary to accommodate the passengers and crews in hotels. The stone farmhouse, located near our Swatara Creek Bridge, was one of the canal's hotels. Under the bridges that carry the Route 283 expressway from Harrisburg to Lancaster. Fulling Mill Road in Clifton. In 1822, a famous local bridge builder, Theodore Burr, built a covered bridge to cross the Swatara Creek. However, this bridge stood the test of time until the flood of Hurricane Agnes pushed the Fiddler's Elbow Bridge into it, knocking it off its foundation. The two bridges then floated downstream together and totally destroyed the iron bridge at Fry's Grove. This was also the location of Clifton Station, as well as a picnic grove and a swimming area that served residents on both sides of the creek. 4 other bridges built by Burr crossed the Susquehanna River. The 55-ton passenger coaches used by our railroad were built by the Pullman Company in 1916 and 1920. They were used on the Delaware and Lackawanna Railroad in regular service out of Hoboken, New Jersey until August of 1984. When they were taken out of service by the New Jersey Transit Authority in 1985, the Middletown and Hummelstown Railroad acquired them. The Middletown and Hummelstown Railroad also uses 2 diesel-electric locomotives in passenger service. Locomotive number 2 was built by the General Electric Company in 1955 and was used by the Standard Slag and Stone Company in Weirton, West Virginia, before coming to the Middletown and Hummelstown Railroad. The General Electric Company also built Locomotive Number 1. It is one of the oldest diesel-electric locomotives still in use in the United States. This area of Pennsylvania has extensive deposits of underground limestone, and in some places the action of the underground streams on the limestone has produced natural caverns. Early settlers quarried the limestone and used lime kilns to make fertilizer for their fields. In the kilns, the limestone was heated by burning wood in order to break it down into powder. Early records show that lime was the second largest commodity transported, second only to coal, by way of the canal. The quarry is still in use today. The bridge across Swatara Creek was built in the 1890s and is 35 feet high. In June of 1972, it was completely covered by water from the flood caused by Hurricane Agnes. Ascending 2.9% grade. Listen to the engine work. That you see here was constructed in the 1700s and was built into the hillside to protect it from the elements. In front of the house are the remains of the original road that ran between Middletown and Hummelstown.